Greetings and welcome to the Fan Perspective. I'm your host Nathan Lyle, and I just wanted to throw a few thoughts about recent events in basketball. First of all, we want to talk about the WNBA and the injury to Breanna Stewart, which exposes a huge problem that the WNBA has always had, but it's a problem that's growing as the years go by, and that's the wage gap, the fact that they don't get paid enough. And at first I was going to immediately make a video about this, but then I saw other people making videos and I thought, I don't have to. But I've had the last 2 days off from work. We're in the slow season. I'm getting more time. So I figured I'll go ahead and throw my 2 cents in. And let me say, in the first place, I think athletes in general are overpaid. I don't see why you need $100 million, especially when you look at someone like LeBron James. You know, his contracts are $200 million, but then he's making $2 billion from his advertising. At the same time, though, LeBron, he put all his own money into making that school, so I'm not too mad at him. He's kind of the Steve Jobs of the NBA right now. That being said, it's hard. This is a hard video for me to do because I made $24,000 in 2018. That's the most I've ever made, beating my previous high in 2017 of $22,000. Breanna Stewart, I think she made $54,000 last year. So it's hard for me to say I feel bad about somebody knowing that they've made twice as much as me. That being said, the league minimum for an NBA player is $800,000. The max in the W is $100,000. So you're telling me that in this league you have the worst players on rosters, guys who will only ever play like the last 2 minutes of a 30-point blowout, and they're making 8 times more than Hall of Famers in a league that you also own. Like, that's just too much of a gap. That the average salary of an NBA player, not even the elite players, the average salary of a basic everyday backup who plays sparingly from time to time in a couple of games, it is still millions of dollars compared to the league MVP making $50,000. Once again, it's hard for me to say this, knowing that every single one of them is making far more money than I've ever seen on a paycheck in my lifetime. The biggest paycheck I've ever got was last month. I got a $1,000 paycheck, and that was huge for me. That being said, even if you're gonna pay these guys so damn much, these women deserve at least a bigger piece of the pie than what they've got right now. Because they have spent, some of them, decades of their life dedicated to one single thing, which is pursuing a basketball career. And they are the best in the world at this. And a lot of people can try to argue about whether or not they deserve that much money, but here's the one thing you can't argue is that if the WNBA doesn't start paying their players a bigger salary, the WNBA won't last. Because you can't have a league when you don't put the best product on the floor. And right now, the best products aren't on the floor. Maya Moore is sitting out the season, and she's not the first person to do this. Angel McCoughtry did this. Diana Taurasi did this. Candace Parker sat out half a season once. You've got Skylar Diggins, who's going to be missing right now. And you've also got on the same team Liz Cambage. She demanded a trade. She's not happy with how ownership is handling that franchise. And if they decide not to move her, it's very possible she can just say, screw it, I just don't feel like playing. No, we could be missing 4 elite Hall of Fame players at the start of this WNBA season. Because people, they're making more money overseas, so if they need a break, they're taking off the WNBA season because they can't afford to give up this other paycheck. You've got people going over there to earn their living and then getting hurt, and now they can't make it to this season even though they do want to be here. I mean, how many NBA players have second jobs? How many, all-stars in the NBA have ever had to get a second job? Every all-star in the WNBA has at least one other job, playing in Russia or Turkey or Australia. So it's ridiculous. It's hard for me as a broke man. I mean, I'm not broke. 24,000, I'll admit, that's a lot more than a lot of other people I know have made. But that being said, it's still hard for me to say that a person making 100,000 is underpaid. But as a human being who believes in equality, this is bullshit. This is some goddamn bullshit, and it needs to change. And so that was my 2 cents. Sorry about that. Just there's a storm brewing outside. Anyways, my throat's getting dry. I want to talk briefly about the NBA playoffs just for a second since I have the camera here. First of all, I just want to say this has been one of the most fun playoff seasons to ever watch, and I think the Pacers and the Pistons are pretty much the only teams that I would actually expect them to get swept. That being said, right now a lot of people have high hopes for the Celtics. They're like, I actually heard someone say that they got it all together, that all their issues are behind them. No, they're not. The Celtics could easily be 0-2 right now. Okay, probably not that bad. They could be 1-1 though, because the Boston did not win Game 2. The Pacers lost Game 2. They gave it away with a lot of stupid mistakes down the stretch. In the clutch moments, they kept turning the ball over, taking bad shots and missing them. And just their defense disappeared. The Celtics did not win Game 2. The Pacers lost Game 2. So let's not start giving the Celtics the championship right now. And second of all, I just want to take 1 second to put my 2 cents. I was actually watching Ray Allen, and he said something about the way he played the game that kind of, pointed out to me one of the glaring problems in the NBA right now, which is that, when he played, if he took 5 shots, even if he made all of them, if he took 5 3-pointers, his coach would still yell at him like, hey, you're settling too much, start taking it inside. And yet you've got people nowadays who, like Paul George, we know he can score inside. He has a lot of points in the paint in his career, and yet going 5 of 18 in the last game and losing because of it, because people are taking bad shots. And Ray Allen, he's a guy that, he talks about, he's the all-time greatest 3-point shooter right now. And he would pick and choose his spots. If he starts the game 0 for 2, he's not going to take another 3 the rest of the game. And I think that's the problem right now. There are so many people who they just know it's going in, and they don't stop to worry about it. And I know I'm probably going to piss some people off because I'm a casual observer in your eyes. I've never played the game on an actual team. I've just, loved the game for more than 20 years of my life. And I feel like a lot of the players in the league right now maybe don't have the same amount of respect for the game as previous generations did. Because there was a time when a miss meant a lot more. And nowadays you have players like, I feel like with Steph Curry and James Harden, Westbrook, you have people that in this league that, fuck it, I'm throwing up everything. Open just means I'm able to lift my arms in the air. Doesn't matter how many people are around me. If I'm able to pick my arms up, that's an open shot, I'm taking it. Doesn't matter where I am on the floor. And, Steph can go 0 of 10 in a game from 3-pointers and still jack up 20 3-pointers in the next game. And it's because he knows if he keeps throwing them up, eventually they'll go in. And that bothers me. Because I think there was a time in the league when, people, a miss bothered them. And nowadays it's like, oh, I'm going to throw this up. If it goes in, yay. If not, oh well, I'll get another chance in 10 seconds. And so many people going on fast breaks and just settling for the first open look they get and blowing opportunities. I mean, there was a time when people actually used to set up an offense, and now it feels like that's disappearing. And I think a lot of people, they see the points scored, they see all the threes going down, and they're just like, yay, your basketball is good. But I'm like, it doesn't feel like there's as much strategy there in the way that people run plays anymore. And it doesn't feel like the game is quite as intricate as it used to be. And it's definitely not as tough and physical. I do miss that. There was a time, when you could just grab a guy's jersey and hold it the entire time. Nowadays, if you breathe on him, it's a foul. It feels like sometimes. But whatever, that's just me being an old man. I think I was born 75, and that was 30 years ago, so yeah, I'm getting up there. And anyways, I had a few thoughts about some of the recent events in basketball. Feel free to leave a comment down below telling me all the reasons I'm wrong. If I don't like what you say, I'm just gonna ignore you, because it's my life. So, until the next time I feel like making a video, this has been The Fan Perspective. I'm your host, Nathan Lyle. Have a great day. Oh, and feel free to comment on how the closets in the background are a huge mess, because you pointing that out to me is just going to ruin my entire life. I'm going to feel so bad.